Joshua Strashinsky. Hopefully I've got that right. I don't think I did. Joshua, welcome to Ticker Newsroom. How are you, mate?
I'm good, Adrian. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Can you please correct the pronunciation? How do you pronounce your name for me?
Wasn't too bad. Strashinsky.
Oh, not too bad. I have been a tennis reporter in a previous lifetime, so I know a lot of those sort of names that are somewhat difficult to pronounce. I should have got that correct. So anyway, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Where are you today in Australia? Hopefully not in Melbourne.
Down in Melbourne. That's okay. The home base. So
yeah,
not too bad.
That's where we are. That's where we are as well. So I feel you. Hey, thanks for your time. Can you explain to me why your area of expertise, which I've just mentioned in the intro, why is it so important, do you think, in terms of helping consumers make their purchase decision? Why is that so critical?
You touched on it already. It's really relevant right now more than ever because of COVID, and it's pulling the purse strings. But buyer psychology is a really powerful area that not enough companies are investing in.
Okay.
Particularly online, where if you look to the news, it's always talking about the hot new advertising channel, how to Google or Facebook better, but it doesn't actually make sense.
Sorry, I don't understand.
That was Google jumping in. If you take a second, you take a second to think about putting an ad in the paper, and people come rushing into your store, no one buys anything, it would be ridiculous to blame the advertising channel. And that's what people do all the time, from small to large businesses all the way up. And that's where understanding and, dare I say, influencing the buyer decision cycle is really so powerful for these companies.
Okay, so let's talk about how we do that, or perhaps how some of the major companies do it, and then how that can be reflected with smaller businesses who are trying to get online as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a huge feeling that big companies are better at this, and that is definitely not the case. In fact, often it's the small guys that are more nimble. But we've broken it down into just the fundamental areas. One of those being, do you clearly solve the buyer's main problem, their core problem? Because most of the time, you ever look at what a company's saying, and they're talking about themselves and how good they are. They're not addressing the core root of the customer's problem.
Okay.
And the second part, and this is where the money's at, is, are you addressing the anxieties and the friction in the buying process? And we are, as humans, racked with anxiety and friction. We're always asking questions like, what if a new model comes out? What if it doesn't fit me? What if a competitor site's can have a better deal later on? By addressing these issues, what we're doing is making people feel kind of control, and that's where the money's at. That's what's going to help them make that buying decision, not to purgatory without doing anything.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, and I guess a big part of it is we're probably so busy with our business that you do need to actually spend some time and analysing what you're talking about to move forward. So tell us, who's doing it well at the moment when you look out there? Can you give us some examples of some companies, brands, whoever they might be, that's doing this sort of thing well?
Look, there are very good examples all over the place. There's also a lot that aren't. I'll tell you what I will do is break it down into a few things that people can do at home right now to analyse their own companies. The first one is have a look at the homepage of your website right now, and what's the first text that stands out? Does it talk about you, or does it talk about the outcome that you deliver to your company? To your clients. 99% of the time, we see people fall at this very first hurdle, and it's the very first thing that your eyes capture onto. Hot cognitions are what our brain recognises long before the conscious mind kicks in, and it's drawn towards certain buying decisions. So the question is, are we influencing that straight away, or are we just talking about ourselves? I will give you an example actually. There was a company, ORW, changed their headline from Australia's #1 in corporate wine gifts, makes sense, very logical, it's what they do, to how to make customers love you. What that did was result in 149% uplift in the amount of inquiries coming in overnight without spending $1 more on advertising. And it did it because it was addressing what people wanted. They didn't need a wine store, Dan Murphy's has got that covered. What it did was, why did they want to spend money on a corporate gift in the first place? They wanted a return from their customer. They wanted to be loved. And so that simple change made an enormous difference. Have we got time for a couple more?
Yeah, maybe just to finish, just some top tips for, you know, someone out there who wants to enhance their website's ability to actually make the sale, which is what you're talking about. What are some of those top tips just to finish? Oh, you might have finished already. Can we hook back in there? No, it looks like we may. The connection just dropped out. Anyway, we got some great information from Josh there. We'll get him back on the show over the next couple of weeks. All right, our next guest.